Hello, welcome back to another Mr. Clever video. In this one I'm going to do a little bit of yapping because I'm a yapper, and I want to talk about my Homelab, and I want to talk about how it's been going, where it started from, where I'm at, and where I'm going, what I want to do from here. Because today I got fed up, I got super frustrated, and I thought that if I make a video talking about my frustrations and explaining the situation I'm in, it would be really useful for me. I could refer to it later, and other people can give me advice as well. And having people look over what I'm doing and tell me if I'm sane or not is extremely helpful, at least usually. So a little bit of a life update before I get started. What am I up to right now? Not much. I'm in third year of university now, and first semester coming to a close. We got exams coming up soon. Trying to get a job, trying to get co-ops. Oh, check this out. I'll switch to the video. I'll switch to the video real quick. You may have noticed already. 3, 2, 1, start. Okay, you may have noticed that I got these new artworks in the background. Dude, I got these like yesterday, and they look sick. How fire do these look? They really tie the room together, Really nice. I got them for $5 each from Dollar Ammo. What a steal. Crazy. I also have this little cactus. This little cactus was more than all three of those combined. It was like $20. Jeez. Oh, check this out. Got this the other day. Side by side, Queen's University Key Ambassador, 3rd place. That's right, man. We went to a hacking competition in Ottawa, so we're in Kingston. I had to go all the way to Ottawa. Me and my team, me and my gang, we kicked their butts, kicked their asses. It was awesome. And we don't deserve 3rd place. We're really bad, but apparently by Ottawa standards, we're not that bad. If we had gone to like Toronto, with U of T and like Waterloo, different story. But hey, and what else do we got? Oh, yeah, check this out. New hairstyle in the works. It doesn't look great right now. The back is like super poofy, but I'm trying to do like John Wick from John Wick 1. You know that one? So that's where it's headed. I'm trying to get there. Just gotta give it time, and then I'll go to I know this Italian ass barber named Tony in Richmond Hill, and he's gonna shout out to Tony. I forget the name of his barber shop. I think it's called like The Cut or something, but he's gonna fix me up. Anyways, okay, that's enough. Homelab. Oh, before I get started, one little thing. This is about to be a yap fest, so I gotta get comfortable. Let's talk about the Homelab. So, where did the Homelab start from? In the very beginning, I still remember the day. I remember the first time I installed Linux, okay? It was winter break of, I think, grade like 11, and I was in my room at like 1 a.m. and my dog was sleeping behind me, and I was following a tutorial on installing headless Ubuntu on this crappy old desktop tower that my dad gave me. And I was in heaven, I was having the time of my life. I remember it very vividly. I also remember the first time I installed Linux on my main laptop. That happened on a balcony in Athens. Believe it or not, Athens, Greece. And I was also in heaven there. So I installed Ubuntu, and since then I've been tinkering. And as I got older, I wanted to host services, that I could use. I wanted to host like streaming services, and I wanted to do this and do that. And I think it's last year, and I always like messed around with things, but I never really got into like Homelabbing until last year, which was my second year of university. That's when I got into Homelabbing. Like you have a little network, and you have different machines, and they do things. You have like a hosting server, like not hosting, like file serving server. You have streaming server, whatever. You have a literal setup. And last year I got into it, and I was hosting Jellyfin. I was hosting like QBitTorrent, like the web interface for it. I had like a couple of containers that did stuff. I don't exactly remember what I had. My main use was just for like watching movies in my little apartment last year. I wasn't in this apartment, is another one, but anyways, it's not very relevant. But I had a little thing going, but it was really it was like very, very basic. It wasn't publicly accessible. It was super insecure. I was messing around with like network file systems, and I had some like FTP. I had stuff going on, but it was very janky. And at that point, I was starting to expand a little bit, but I had been in the like headless Linux server game for a couple years, and I could see where the expansion was going. Right, I could see that expanding my couple laptops and whatever into more and more eventually was going to be unmanageable before I was like satisfied with what I had. I could see that happening. I could see that in my future. So what I decided to do was, this is what I call stage 1 of, or stage 0, sorry. It's what I call stage 0 of the Beehive, alright? And about, I don't know, February, March, April of 2024, I was still in second year of university. It was, towards the end of my second semester. I came up with this plan for something called the Beehive. Okay, and I called it the Beehive because it would be like a hive, like a swarm of computers, and Beehive is like a thing, and also my last name starts with B. So I don't know if that's clever, but no, it is, because I'm Mr. Clever, that's why. So I came up with this plan, okay? And how it was gonna work, I made like a slideshow, I made like a YouTube video, I made, I had lots of plans, I had a notebook where I had everything written out, I had everything planned out. And how it was gonna work is I would basically have like an abstract, like this is how I explained it at the time. Now I would explain using different terms, but I want to like explain what was going through my mind there, because I think the progression here is important, not the idea itself is shit. But the idea I had was I would abstract the adding of computers and the adding of services. So I could basically tell my controller, hey, add this service, and it will just spawn up the service, just like what Kubernetes does basically, or Docker Swarm. And then but closer to Kubernetes. And then my other thing would be that if I started a computer, I could go to like a specific endpoint, authenticate that computer with like a password that only I know, or a key file or something, and then the server would like SSH into it and take care of everything else. Basically like a configuration management system, like Ansible. Now at the time I was very immature with the tools of the trade. Okay, this is how many months ago? I don't know, maybe like 8 months ago. 8 months ago till like where I'm recording this video. I can tell you back then, I was like, Like, I compared to now, I didn't know jack shit. Okay, pardon my language, but I didn't. Okay, that's an appropriate description. And so, but I started planning this unified home lab because I could see what was down the line, and I was correct. I would eventually run into that complexity, and it would eventually ruin like things, which that's what happened this morning that I decided to make this video. Okay, so I was right about that. I had the correct intuition. I didn't have the correct knowledge to address the issue that I could see coming. Now, I started planning a unified home lab. That was my theory on how to plan it, and I started building. And I had like a 12-stage plan for building it. It was kind of crazy, but ultimately, what happened was I started building these massive bash scripts, like 200 line, 300 line bash scripts. Now that's not massive. It's massive for like what I was trying to accomplish. You know what I mean? I was basically just writing Ansible by hand. Okay, that's what was happening. I was just writing Ansible by hand. Yeah. So I asked in a public server for help, and they said, "You're just writing Ansible by hand." I said, "What's Ansible?" I went and searched it up, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm writing Ansible by hand. I'm just writing a configuration management system when there are already frameworks in place for that. So why am I writing in Bash when I could just do it in Ansible, right?" So I researched my options, and this is what I call stage 2. So what did I say? First I was stage 0. Stage 1 was when I started building the bash scripts. Stage 0 was like the first home lab that made me realize I need the unified solution. Stage 1, where I actually started the unified home lab, is when I started writing the bash script. Stage 2 is when I moved to SaltStack. Okay, let's talk about SaltStack for a bit. SaltStack is basically Ansible, but better, but worse. Okay. Wise words from Mr. Clever. SaltStack. Okay, I'm not going to get into the tool itself. That's not what I want to talk about here. But I can say that the learning curve for SaltStack was pretty extensive, and it was severely exacerbated by the situation where I didn't really have time to spend working on it. I actually got a job offer over the summer through I'm kind of a yapper. Okay, I like talk to a lot of people, etc. So I often end up finding like roles that people need through I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, you know what I mean, type situation. So he was like, dude, and it was a cool story. He actually didn't give me a job. He gave me like a project. I completed the project, and then he was like, okay, pull up. we want to give you a job. So that's cool. Anyways, I had a job, and then school started. I didn't have time to work on it. It was very difficult, but bit by bit I did work on it, and eventually I got to a point where I realized that SaltStack is genuinely too much. Okay, I had all kinds of SaltStack like YAML like templates. Okay, I had all kinds of like .slc, I think was the file extension. I had all kinds. I had one for setting up WireGuard. I had one for setting up WireGuard as a server. I had one for setting up I don't know, traffic, I guess. I had one for setting. I had a lot. I genuinely cannot remember off the top of my head. They're in the GitHub repository for Beehive if someone wants to go look. I can say I had like at least 10. But I did learn. Ultimately, I have SaltStack on my resume right now. If you asked me to set up a system using SaltStack, I could, and I learned it because I wanted to solve this problem. And then ultimately, I decided it's not even the right tool for the job. So haha. I sure got myself real good with that one. So that was stage 2. I realized after a while of working on it, hey, it's not that complicated, okay? So I decided to just go back to bash scripts, okay? I was like, dude, I don't need salt stack. This is too much. This is unnecessary. I'm just gonna write everything in bash. All I need to do is install some packages. I don't need idempotency. I'll just run it one time and I won't run it again. Okay. I was like, I don't need idempotency. I'll just assume that nothing is in place and I'll do everything I want done and I'll ignore any errors. You know? Like, I was at that level. I was in that mindset. I was getting practical. I was getting realistic. Anyways, that was stage 2. Okay. Then stage 3 was bash. It was like, I'm just gonna do everything in bash again. You know the IQ bell curve? I'll make a little meme for it and I'll put it in the video right now. Okay, I'll put it in the video. It'll be here. I don't know where it'll be. But yeah, that's what happened. Anyways, I went back to bash, and as I was getting started on working on stage 3, and I was thinking about how I'm gonna do things in bash again, and I was saying, you know, I'll do it this way, I'll do it that way. I started playing this game called Satisfactory. Okay. And this game is basically like Factorio or Mindustream, but like in 3D. So it's like a factory building game. And you know, there's like machines, there's conveyor belts, you know, you got like miners, you got like smelters, you got constructors, you know, you got all these building blocks, and it's a lot of fun. And as I was playing this game, I realized that the way I was playing this game was like working, but despite how chaotic and messy and ununified it was, every action I did was done without consideration of my other actions, right? Like when I was setting up one part of the factory, I wasn't considering the other parts of the factory, even though it's ultimately related to the other parts of the factory, you know. And then later, I would set up the other part of the factory, and I would just figure out a way to connect them based on the way I built them, you know. And I realized if I build them smartly in the first place, figuring out how to build on top of it isn't too bad, you know. Like, yeah, it's messy, it's kind of chaotic, it's kind of disorganized, but ultimately you can comprehend what's going on, you know, and you can work with it. You know, you can still manipulate it, you can still modify it, you can do whatever you need to do. Now, I started applying this philosophy to the lab, and we're gonna go off screen again. I gotta show you guys what this spawned, okay? What did this mindset spawn? It spawned an absolute terrible, look at this, okay, ready? Look what it spawned, look what this mindset spawned. Absolute nightmare, okay? So, this is the legend, okay? I'll just explain it. Dark blue is on-premises hardware. So like those, for example, are dark blues. This laptop is a dark blue. This Raspberry Pi is a dark blue. Light blues are cloud servers, I also own. Pink are like gateways and NATs and stuff, proxies. Red is VPN. Orange is internal traffic, white is external traffic, and green is application traffic. And then the stickers also mean stuff. Here, just pause it and read it, I guess. And this is like the DNS, and I mean, holy crap! Actually, this is a wild. Okay. The issue is that when things break, you know, it's hard to fix. It's hard to diagnose, and things break often. Moving things around is difficult. Okay, they just decided to vacuum outside my room as I was talking, that's fine. Moving things around is difficult. And ultimately this morning I got so frustrated with it, I got so fed up that I said, no, this has to change. I can't just slap shit together and hope that it works. I mean, I can. It depends on what I'm trying to do. ultimately this isn't even you know, begun to near completion yet. I don't know how big it's ultimately going to be, but I can tell you there's a lot of services I want to run that I haven't even started running here, you know. But it's already falling apart, you know. Already it's gotten too hard to manage, and so I don't really know what to do from here, you know. I can think of basically two solutions. Okay, this is solution number one. No, I'm joking. Okay, I can think of two solutions. Solution number one is to go to a framework like Kubernetes, which would solve the issues that we are facing here, right? I think Kubernetes would probably help a lot. It would take care of putting containers in the right place. It would take care of, you know, dependencies because everything's containerized. It would take care of environments. It would take care of basically everything I need taken care of. I would just tell it, hey, host this service, and it would host it, right? It would take care of all my needs. The problem is it would create a bunch of new problems, right? It would create all the hassle of managing Kubernetes, and I've never managed a Kubernetes before. You know, like, Kubernetes would solve problems by creating new ones. Now, ultimately, it might be worth it. I just have to try it out. And I think that's what I'm going to do right now, is Kubernetes. But there is another option. Option two is that I start building everything again from the beginning. Like, I go on each server, I'm like, wipe all the current garbage that's on there, you know, I don't know, reset it or whatever. Or just, I don't know, tear down all the applications that are running. You know, I don't have to change the environment. Whatever's there is there. But what I do is I start building everything again, but with a better paradigm, right? With better rules and consideration. And so, like, for example, a lot of my services right now are not Dockerized. If I start Dockerizing everything and putting everything in like the same in guessable locations, you know what I mean? And I basically redo the whole system with a new approach, with a more responsible and considerate approach. That could also work too. But I right now, I personally think that ultimately there's a reason that tools like Ansible and Kubernetes and all the 100 various, you know, configuration and service and server management tools exist. I think there's a reason for all that. And I think it would be best to at least adopt something right now. I mean, I don't even have to use Kubernetes. I could use like Docker Swarm or something, right? But in the long term, I think it would be best to actually move up and use a more heavy-duty tool. Because ultimately, something I was thinking about the other day, you know, people who are good at their craft usually have like tools that they prefer to use. They don't just use everyday tools. They use tools with specific functions and functions that they're familiar with and very good at manipulating, right? Obviously they say a poor craftsman blames his tools, you know, and I think it's true, but ultimately, ultimately a good craftsman can make something good with bad tools. But if you ask them what tool do you prefer to use, they would say I prefer to use like my tools, you know, and they're probably going to be more niche, more expensive, more heavy duty. And I think that's what I need here, right? I don't know if that analogy made I don't know if that analogy was great, but that's what I'm thinking, you know? I think what I'm gonna do is go with like Kubernetes because, I mean, look at this diagram. Okay, first of all, it looks super sweet. Okay, let's admit that. Let's all admit that this diagram is awesome. This is a work of art, just like those are a work of art. You know, it's just its beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know, it takes something here to see this as art, and not like a schizophrenic series of ravings and ramblings. But the point here is that I think I need to migrate to Kubernetes. I think that's what I need. Right? Guys, the solution to my problems is Kubernetes, right? I don't think it's gonna solve the quiz that I failed this morning, but it'll solve my Homelab. Yeah. Kubernetes. Okay, that's basically that wraps up what I wanted to say about my Homelab. And you know, we'll see what happens. I've been considering making some videos where I work on my Homelab, but to do that, I think I should make an environment specifically for working on the Homelab, and I don't have that, so I might do that. We'll see what happens. And yeah, that is all I have to say. Thank you for watching this video. I don't think a single person is gonna watch this entire video. If you watch this entire video, you're a W, okay? And if you tell me you watched the whole video, I don't know. You don't have to. Yeah, if you tell me, I would really appreciate that. You don't have to tell me or. Okay, we're gonna end this video. Thank you very much. This is Mr. Clever tuning out. Stay posted, foos. Adios.